What's going on, guys? This is Trav here, and today I am bringing you week 6 of the MGL. So we're now 2 and 3. I'm still in the playoff picture with we've got a 0-0 differential, so that's pretty good. But yeah, definitely need to win the next couple of games to try and stay in the playoff race. I am feeling a lot better after last week's dice shenanigans. I think that kind of helped me find the joy in Pokemon again, and find my flow a little bit more with team building. So we've gone back to just normal prep for this one. I say normal prep, you'll see there's some stuff. It's not too crazy. So I say looking at my Tailwind Explosion Drifloon, but you know, let's start with the crazy. So we're playing Crep this week. You can see the matchup down below me. She drafted effectively mono dog. I don't know what you're talking about. Those are all dogs. Every single mon, especially the Swablu, is a dog. Yeah, and no questions asked. So it's going to break my heart to try and win this week, but you know, it is what it is. We've got to try our best. First one we're bringing, like I said, is Skywell the Drifloon, with Focus Sash and Unburden. So if we get brought down to our Sash, we become the fastest thing on the field by far. We will be outspeeding even Scarfed Elekid with this, which is like the biggest threat is Elekid either with Life Orb or under Trailblaze, or Scarf. Like it's so fast, hits so hard, it's crazy. So the idea with this is if anything gets out of hand, I don't really have a good answer for it. I can go into this and be guaranteed to live a hit and then get a powerful hit off with Shadow Ball or Thunderbolt, depending on what it's going into. Like T-Bolt should kill the Corphish, also has good damage into Swablu, or we just go boom if we don't guarantee a kill, or alternatively kick Tailwind if it's not something that has priority. We can get Tailwind up and then the rest of my mons should outspeed everything that she has, and it kind of stops it from being as panicked of a situation, hopefully, depending on what it is. It's kind of just a general check, and then the Tailwind is really helpful for another mon we're about to go into. But the idea here is if we Tailwind and then we get to get up maximum turns up, we can just go boom if we're at like 1 HP and we don't kill with Shadow Ball or T-Ball. Even if we do, we can just boom to get in our bigger threat to do work under Tailwind. The mon that we are planning to do work with under Tailwind is Satotl, who should be called Decimitodon. So Satotl with Sheer Force, Life Orb, Icicle Crash, 2-hit KOs the entire team. It's not guaranteed to 2-hit KO the Hisuian Growlithe or the Corphish as the ice resists, or if like Greavard tears into Terra Water, but because we go through, well, we don't make contact with Icicle Crash, it ignores Fluffy, and still 2-hit KOs the Greavard, which is really nice, and nothing else can live two Icicle Crashes. Liquidation obviously destroys Hisuian Growlithe, and Play Rough still does a lot to Corphish. So Icicle Crash into Play Rough should always kill that thing unless it's like really bulky a Violet, which is not really what I expect it to be running. I thought about going Banded and just clicking Icicle Crash, but I like being able to switch up moves, but we are going with things that are mostly Sheer Force boosted, and getting the most out of that ability, and then Ice Shard is just there to revenge kill something like the Trico if it gets out of hand, or get a good bit of chip onto something like Elekid, put it in range of some other stuff that we have, or potentially just take out a sweep at late game if things are weakened down a bit. But the main thing is, if I can get this thing under Tailwind, I basically claim 2 or 3, like she has to pivot around it, take a bunch of damage, and then we'll hopefully be in a much better position. Then we have kind of the primary win con, I would say, which is their Tizza the Wooper running Curse this week. So we are going to try and set up with this thing. EQ plus Avalanche goes really, really hard into her team. Avalanche basically only being for Trico and Swablu. Everything else we just click EQ, we just Curse and we click EQ. Just like with the Icicle Crash, it ignores Fluffy on the Greavard, so we're not too worried about that thing's defenses. And with a Curse up, we're basically not too KO'd by anything. The special defense investment lets us not get 2-hit KO'd by a Psychic from Elekid, but we would still be 2-hit KO'd by a Focus Blast if it's Modest Life Orb. If it's not Modest Life Orb, if it's like Scarf, then we'll live easy. We'll live 2 easy and we can recover. And if they're going for Focus Blast, I hope they miss 1 or 2 to help Wooper get set up. Unfortunately, we will take a lot from a Trailblaze. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just the EVs just don't work. This is the best we can do to take a Trailblaze. If it's like Life Orb Adamant, there's one roll where it kills us, but the rest of the rolls don't. And that's kill it outright. But if we get up to +1, that changes from like, it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO, and I think at +2 there's one roll that 2-hit KOs and every other roll does not. And we should just OHKO with EQ. So hopefully Wooper can do a good bit of work here once it gets up a curse or two, just kind of tearing through the team. But things like the Growlithe shouldn't be able to touch us. It does not get Trailblaze, I checked. However, the Rockruff does, so it's a bit of like, what gets Trailblaze, what doesn't. We'll just hopefully get enough curses up that it shouldn't matter, and we can go from there. Then we have another bit of speed control outside of Tailwind, and that is Choice Scarf Scorbunny. Scorbunny is just good with a Scarf. Flare Blitz in this matchup is particularly good because it hits Greavard super effectively with the Fluffy ability, and High Jump Kick goes unironically really hard to this team. Like, it OHKOs Corphish if it's not a Violite, it OHKOs Elekid if it's not a Violite. Obviously there's a ton to Growlithe and Mastiff as well. I did have Gunk Shot on here to try and hit the Fido, but honestly I never really want to be locked into Gunk Shot, so if I do expect Fido to come in, I would rather just click U-turn and get out into something else. And then Sucker Punch is there in case that Elekid gets a Trailblaze up, and we've already burned the Drifloon. Then we need Scorbunny to just be able to revenge that thing. A combination of a Sucker Punch and Ice Shard should take out Elekid if it gets too out of hand. Not an ideal situation by any means, but you know, better to have the answer there than not. Then we have Offensive Tentacool, which will be named Whip, with Swords Dance. So I thought about a few different Tentacool sets. Offensive always looked good. The dual stab goes really well into this team. I was thinking about Special because Surf is a good shot to 2-hit KO the Greavard, and want to get Toxic Spikes up and running like Hex on the Drifloon. I thought I'd bring Venoshock on this thing and Venoshock on potential Fungus and try and do that kind of stuff. And it all got a bit too hard and a bit too messy and too situational, and I was never really comfortable kicking T-Spikes because it's always better to just get my damage. And so with this way we're going to try and get as much damage as possible. We can hopefully wall out something like this Swablu. If it's going for like Hurricane, it's the best move to hit us, and we should be able to get a Swords Dance up. And then if we get a spin off as well, we're looking really, really good. Obviously the Greavard is a bit of a problem. Liquidation isn't doing a ton through Fluffy, and it resists the Gunk shots. That's the main issue with this physical set. But if I can force it to Terror, or if it just doesn't show at all, then Tentacool starts looking really, really good into this team with the other defensive checks like the Fido just getting annihilated by Gunk shot. And basically everything else. Like, just look at the team and then look through these moves, and it just does a ton to everything except Greavard. And we're going to force the Terror on Greavard, then potentially Gunk shots just OHKOing at +2. So that's pretty cool. Clear Body also helps if she decides to bring Intimidate on something. We won't get intimidated. And maybe if there's a speed control move like a Rock Tomb or something to try and lower speed. It was more useful. I don't think it's likely that there's anything that's going to be bringing like health sapping moves. Like if the Trico comes, it's probably going to be like Bullet Seed Acrobatics. So yeah. And then with all these things, we're basically just running max speed to speed tire outspeed most things. Obviously the Wooper, there's no point running speed because we're cursing up anyway. Yeah, pretty much everything else we're just running max speed because that's kind of what I have to do against this team. And then we have the Scraggy. Look, max speed again. DD Scraggy is just good. Intimidate is helpful to, if it's like a physical Elekid, we can handle it that way. Also, it gives us more setup opportunities on things like the Growlithe or the Corphish, because it's going to be running Adaptability, not Hypercutter, and the Rockruff as well. And maybe the Mastiff, it's locked into like Crunch. I'm expecting pretty much everything to be bringing Play Rough. So like Fido could be running Scarf Play Rough for this. Mastiff could be running Play Rough, Rockruff should be running Play Rough, the Greavard should be running Play Rough, all the dogs get Play Rough, wouldn't you know? So that makes it a little bit, actually I think Rockruff doesn't, but it gets close combat. Anyway, point being, no, I think Growlithe gets close combat. Point being, there's a lot of coverage for Scraggy on this team, which makes bringing Bulk Up really, really hard, but I think if I can get a DD up, we kind of force the check, and this is my idea of like, if it's like Terra Fairy Greavard, for example, we force it in with Scraggy by getting it to +1, and then we can just knock off it's a Violet. Even if it terrors, then we should be able to kill it with Tentacool afterwards. So I don't really need to worry too much about the mind game there. If it's already terrored, or if Fido is the check, we do have Iron Head. You know, pray for a flinch, see how you go. Between a flinch and a miss, we have a small chance of not losing that interaction. That's better than anything else we could do. There are a few other mons I considered in this slot. I did have a Chingling with like Screen's Trick Room into Offensive Fungus, because Offensive Fungus unironically looks pretty good here as well. Like Life Orb under Trick Room was fire. But it was just a little hard to orchestrate because you need too many turns to like get everything going correctly, and then you don't necessarily get the free switch. Poochyena I never really considered into this matchup. It just doesn't hit the speed tier it needs to against fucking Elekid. So no point I didn't really see the point in bringing that. And Blitzel likewise kind of struggles where it either doesn't do enough damage or it doesn't outspeed. Like it needs a life orb to do the damage, but then it doesn't outspeed Elekid because that mon is stupid, and no matter what terror we run, it can always just nuke us with some coverage move because Elekid is stupid. So yeah, that's going to be the team. Pretty hyper offensive this week. So we'll see how we go. I'm pretty keen for the Curse Wooper to pop off and maybe the Tailwind into Sotodle as well. Other than that, we'll just see if our techs can do what they're supposed to do. So yeah, with that, I'll be seeing you guys in the battle. Okay, we're here for the battle against Crep. So there's no Corfish, which is fantastic, and there's no Trico, which means Wooper goes so hard into this team. It's Terra Fire on the Grievard and Fairy on the Thampi. I think I'm just going to lead Scorbunny because I think we can handle the Elekid. Mostly because if it's Scarf, it has to go for Electric Stab to knock us out. And then we go from there, and we should outspeed everything else, if I'm not mistaken. Rockruff will probably have the Trailblaze, but it is what it is. Yeah, we outspeed Rockruff with Scorbunny as well, so that's good. Good luck, have fun to Crep. Monodog, I fucking respect it. Syndicate, that's going to be the Rockruff. Okay. You have to fear high jump kick here. Like, you simply have to. But unfortunately, I can't go for it because there is a ghost type, so I am just going to U-turn and scout the damage, see how much we do. Like, we kill even through a Violite. This could just be Sash Rock's lead, which would suck, but we do have spin, so. It's going to U-turn out and see either what they switch into or what we... Yeah, so she stays in. This should do a good chunk. Whew! Okay, not a Violite. Now, I'm expecting rocks. Thing is, I can't break through the Grievard that early. I don't think you're clicking Psychic Fang, so I'm going to go into Tentacool here. Yeah, there's the rocks, so in comes Grievard for sure, right? Gunk still does a good amount, but it's probably bulky. Man, I wish I had knock. Am I better off to SD? I mean, if you're not a Violite, then an SD Gunk Shot does a ton. Like, you have to switch out here. There's no way you're staying in and letting me get my spin off. I'm going to click Gunk Shot. We should kill this thing anyway, even if it switches out. Yeah. So that's not a Violite. Into this thing, we miss. I don't think you can really touch me. Hurricane does a good amount, but I am going to spin. The Gunk Shot miss is unfortunate. If you go Grievard here, that's fine. Okay, we get the spin off, so no rocks up. That's looking like it's a Violite damage. Goes for a Hurricane. We should take this. Yeah. So the next one should kill. But I think I just go for Gunk Shot again. That first miss is unfortunate. That would have done over half to this. Yeah. It is what it is. That's pretty fizz death. That looks... Okay, now they miss, so... You know, you win some, you lose some. Can I click Liquidation here? I can. Even if you're max fizz death. So that's what I'm gonna do. Miss for miss, it evens out. I'm happy with that. They can revenge me here with any form of priority. But getting the rocks away is really good. Yeah, we just go for liquidation. This should kill. Cool. Down goes the Swablu. If you go Elekid, you are so scarfed it's not even funny. Bumblecit, that's going to be, I assume, Elekid, yeah. I mean... They can just go for Psychic here, but then I get Scraggy for free. They can also Volt Switch, so I'm not going to switch out. I'm just going to go for Gunk Shot. Should do a lot. And if they're not Scarfed, then we're in a great spot. Are you Eviolite? Oh, Tentacool, you goat! Okay. So down goes the Elekid. That's a huge threat gone. The fact that Rockruff has rocks make me think it might not be Trailblaze. We should see the Grievard here. Yeah. I think we die to a Sneak. There's no way you Terra. Like, absolutely no way you Terra. Yeah, we die to a Sneak now, for sure. I'm just gonna click Gunk. Get my damage. Yeah, there's a Sneak. That's fine. Do you see Life Orb? No. Okay, that's fine. Tentacool did what it needed to do. So here, I could go Score Bunny. The Terra Fire is interesting, actually. Makes them resist the Flare Blitz, so I don't really want to do that. I could go Satoddle, but same thing goes... I think I'm going to go Wooper. And get up Curse. Is that too early, or do I go Sky Whale? What is your switch into a... Yeah. I mean, I just click Shadow Ball and get good chip on this thing, even if it terrors. I think I'd rather do that and get some more chip before trying to sweep with Wooper, so that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, we're just going to force the terror on this thing. Either a terror or a switch here. Elekid going down is huge. Yes, there's the Terra. That means Phanpy can't Terra Fairy. And now I just get to click Liquidation every time Satoddle comes in. I don't think it'll kill this, but it should do a lot. This should do like a third if you're a Violet. Yeah. Poltergeist. It's cool, they do hit. So I'm going to go down to a Sneak here. Question is, do I want to take advantage of that? And preserve this thing at low HP? The only thing I would go into would be like Scraggy, and we're not doing much. Even with the Intimidate, yeah. I don't really want to risk that. So I think we let you go down here and click Tailwind. Just in case they do something weird. There's the Snake, that's fine. They are Terrifier. Grievard claims 2. As long as we have Wooper, we're okay against Growlithe, and I think Phanpy as well. Do I just... I mean, this thing now just gets to click Liquidation against anything that isn't Scarfed. And we know that you're not Scarfed. Liquidation won't kill this. But Liquidation into Ice Shard should. So I think now is my time. Liquidation looks like a roll to kill. Depends how bulky they are, but Liquidation into Ice Shard should always finish it off, and we shouldn't die to a Poltergeist or a Sneak. Ooh, we might die to a Terra Blast Fire. I did not think about that because they're not thick fat. Yeah, I should have calculated that. We died to Terra Blast Fire. I might be sacking a lot to this one. That was silly. That's okay. This thing was mainly here to threaten the Swablu. Terrify is a really good bring. That's really solid. I was expecting Fighting or Fairy to deal with the Scraggy. They switch, so something's dead. Something's straight up dead. It's going to be the Rockruff, I assume, yeah. Okay, so answers for Wooper. So it's a total KO's Rockruff. So that means they weren't confident on living in Liquidation there. Or they didn't want to take the damage because then they just lost to Scraggy, potentially. We should see the Growlithe, I assume. Do we outspeed Phanpy, actually? Yeah, we outspeed Phanpy, so this has to be Growlithe. Yeah. Literally everything you click kills me. The question is, do I just go hard Wooper? And I think I do. You could go for CC. I think that's your best click. Or a double. Is this thing worth preserving? Yeah, it's worth preserving just to get damage on the thing. And I assume Ice Shard is doing like nothing to this. Yeah. Score Bunny endgame's looking really good though. We can just click High Jump Kick now. So you're going to see the Head Smash. It does 8 damage. I expect you to be the thing. Scarf. Yeah, that looks jolly Scarf. I'm going to click Curse, I think. Yeah. So we should be able to take another one after a Curse and then recover up. And if they go Phanpy, we should be able to take one Trailblaze. And now Phanpy, now that it can't Terra, isn't the biggest threat because I can always revenge it with Ice Shard. If this thing goes down, I think Sotodle cleans up as well. And literally... Okay, they switch. Show me the Phanpy. Gravel Kit, that's going to be Phanpy for sure. Thing is, Trailblaze still does so much damage. I feel like Life Orb, actually, that could still kill. There's a one roll where it kills with Life Orb. But if it's not a Violite, then Avalanche should do a lot. It's doing 12, and I'd be recovering 12. Yeah, so I just click Avalanche here and get my chip. I think if you don't have Trailblaze, then it's GG, but... Live on one, so that is going to be Life Orb, I assume. Yeah, Life Orb Phanpy. This should kill them. Oh, so close, but it looks like it dies to another Life Orb chip. I will click Recover. KO's Wooper. And dies to Life Orb. Okay. I think I have to go Score Bunny here. Because I can beat the Greavard with just chipping it. Yeah. It's going to be this thing. Now you just need to hit your moves. Score Bunny. So Flare Blitz will be neutral into the Greavard. But you can click High Jump Kick because you're Terrafire. It won't do a ton, but it might two-shot from the range it's at. So I'm just going to click High Jump Kick and hope we don't miss. Oh, I thought the Libra was missing for a second there. Okay. Score Bunny KOs the Growlithe, and that should be game. Because he's seen Poltergeist and Sneak. It could be Rest. But I think I have enough pieces left. I have no reason not to click High Jump Kick here. It's my best move to hit this thing at this point. So it's 3-on-1. Can Greavard clutch it out? Now that Wooper's gone, it's not great. We should live a Poltergeist, actually. We won't leave Poltergeist into Sneak. But yeah, that does a chunk. They play rough. Which I knew they'd have. We are fighting type. Yeah, it looks like either low rolled. There was only one roll where that killed anyway. But Sneak will take us out now. There's no point preserving this. Yeah, Poltergeist, Sneak, play rough. So Toddle should have this now. I don't think you live a Liquidation. And Scraggy warms the bench. It just forces prep. It's kind of like a Gouging Fire equivalent where like you have to bring shit for it, but it doesn't necessarily get to do that shit in-game. Yeah, if you're like max HP, max defense, Liquidation still looks like it has a good roll to kill, and Liquidation at Ice Shard should always kill. And if you rest, we just get off another Liquidation, etc. Nice. Total finishes it off. It was offensive like I thought, offensive with Violet, and that's going to be game. Tentacool popped off early. That was sick. Yeah, that felt well built. Cracky, like I said, warmed the bench. GG's to Crep. Yeah, Greavard, Terrifier Greavard was a really solid bring. That threw me for a loop. I'm sad Wooper didn't get to do more, but I knew there'd be Trailblaze on a few things. I was just hoping they were a Violet and not Life Orb. If they were Eviolite, then if I got up a Curse or two, then they couldn't break, but Life Orb they could. And I think we low rolled that Avalanche as well. Not that it really matters because we just doubled down anyway. But yeah, so that's going to be a GG to Crep. And we're back on the horse, 3-3. So let's see if we can make playoffs in this league. See you next week.